Let me welcome all of you. Welcome my colleagues, Senator Reid, Senator McConnell, Secretary Shinseki, Senators Inouye and McCain, Chairman Hall from the House, and our friends from California, Senator Boxer and Congressman Schiff. Also want to welcome our good friend, Secretary Norm Mineta, and our honored military guest, all the Gold Medal recipients, your family and friends, and everyone who worked to make today's ceremony possible. Aloha and welcome. Public Law 111-254 was signed by President Obama last year, and it directed the creation of a Congressional Gold Medal to be presented to the Japanese American warriors who made our victory in World War II possible. It states in part, the United States remains forever indebted to the bravery, valor, and dedication to country that these men faced while fighting a two-front battle of discrimination at home and fascism abroad. Their commitment and sacrifice demonstrates a highly uncommon and commendable sense of patriotism and honor. It's my privilege to welcome all the recipients on behalf of every American, and we are humbled by your presence with us today.
Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the presentation of the colors by the 100th Battalion, 442nd Infantry Regiment Color Guard, the singing of our national anthem, and the retiring of the colors. Ladies and gentlemen, please remain standing as the chaplain of the United States Senate, Dr. Barry Black, gives the invocation.
Let us pray. Eternal God, thank you for those in every age and generation who by their courage and sacrifice won freedom for humankind. Today, as we give an overdue honor to those who served in the U.S. Army's 100th Infantry Battalion, the 442nd Regimental Combat Team, and the Military Intelligence Service, endorse our gratitude with your divine approval. We praise you, Lord, for the thousands of Japanese American veterans who more than self their country loved, sacrificing for liberty when their friends and families were experiencing discrimination at home. May their exemplary service inspire us to cultivate in our lives their courage in danger, their steadfastness in trial, their perseverance in difficulty, their loyalty when loyalty is costly, their love which nothing can change, and their joy which nothing can take away. Amen.
Please be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, the representative from the 29th District of California, the Honorable Adam Schiff.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Today we award the Congressional Gold Medal, the nation's highest civilian honor, to the Go for Broke regiments and veterans of the Military Intelligence Service for their dedication to our country during World War II. These remarkable men left the segregated nation to fight and defend in America with no guarantee that their own freedom would be defended in return. There are no words more eloquent, more revealing of what these men endured and the legacy they left behind than their own words. Words like these. On February 19, 1942, President Roosevelt signed Executive Order 9066. That was the blackest moment of my life, being treated as an enemy alien. Granted Chikawa, veteran of the MIS. I wanted to prove that I was a loyal American and wanted to fight for my country during a time of war. Joe Ichiuji, veteran of the 442nd. Here I was, a corporal in a U.S. Army uniform, not allowed to visit my family in the internment camp. Jimmy Kanaya, 442nd. I felt we had to fight and to go forward. I was scared going up to the lines and thought to myself, well, this is it. After we were hit, I became so engaged in what we were doing that despite the shells, mortars, and machine gun fire coming in, I was no longer scared. I was too busy. And in combat, you learn to obey orders and push forward. Kelly Kuyama, medic, 442nd. This prisoner was brought into us on a stretcher after he was wounded. And when I inquired how his treatment was, he looked at me in the eye and said, "You are a traitor." "Traitor," I said. "You can see that I'm an American. I'm an American soldier fighting for my country. You are Japanese, a loyal Japanese soldier fighting for your country. If you were to cut our veins, the same blood would flow. But don't you call me a traitor." Grant Hirabayashi, veteran, MIS. I told the others to watch out for the incoming fire when one of my buddies stood up and got shot. I crawled over and picked him up, and he died in my arms. I just lost it then and picked up the Thompson and charged the hill. George Joe Ciccato, veteran of the 442nd, Medal of Honor recipient. There have been 35 Japanese Americans promoted to the rank of general and admiral since Vietnam, a remarkable record when compared to World War II, when the highest rank held by a Japanese American was that of major. This demonstrates the greatness of America, a nation that recognized it had made mistakes, corrected them, and moved on to become a stronger country. And we are proud to defend the freedoms and ideals that this country represents. Terry Shima, veteran of the 442nd. These American heroes did defend our freedoms and ideals. Their true heroism lies in how they fought for the values of America: equality, justice, opportunity, even when those values were denied them at home. And they paved the way for millions of other Americans to proudly wear the uniform today. Members of the 442nd, 100th, and MIS, it is an honor to be in the same room with you. Thank you, God bless you, and congratulations.
Ladies and gentlemen, the representative from the 4th District of Texas, the Honorable Ralph Hall.
Mr. Chairman, and to all those you addressed initially, honored guests, it's really a privilege to me to take part in this ceremony honoring the 100th Infantry Battalion, 442nd Regimental Combat Team, and Military Intelligence Service of the United States Army. It's an honor to have you here, an honor to be here with you. As a veteran of World War II, I flew for the Navy in the Pacific. And as our nation and other nations faced war, sacrifices were great, required of all of us. So many men and women, as well as their families. And the brave soldiers of the 442nd Regiment had a motto, "Go for broke," and that's exactly what they did. This motto defined the way these men and women approached every battle of the war, World War II. Their very heroic efforts are legendary and are evidenced by the thousands of citations, I think 9,000 Purple Hearts, awards, and accolades bestowed on the members of this regiment. It's unheard of. In fact, the 442nd Regiment was the most decorated of any unit of its size in the history of the United States Army. Quite an honor, and the Congressional Gold Medal we present to these American heroes today is fitting and long overdue. Tribute to their service, their bravery, and their dedication to our country. Senator Inouye was one of those men in the 442nd who received a Medal of Honor for his bravery and his heroism. I've served with him in the Congress for many years now, and we've had several opportunities to work together. I'm fortunate to count him as a friend, and I have great admiration and respect for the courage and dedication he demonstrated in the war, and that's still evident today as he serves our country in the United States Navy. Senate. We know that there can be no peace in the world. Everybody knows that, without strength and no freedom. If it's not free, we have to work for it. You work for it. You sacrifice for it. Would not be possible without the willing sacrifice of young men and women who answered the call to service. I had opportunity after World War II to do technical assistance agreements with the Japanese. I was in their country for off and on almost quarterly for 7 or 8 years. They needed technology. They were good to deal with. They were honorable to deal with, and they improved on all the technology that we would give them before they'd leave the room almost, because they were that type people, and they're now that type of friend to this country, and work with them as chairman of Science, Space, and Technology, and they're our space partners. Today, as we honor these men, the 442nd Regiment, who answered the call and whose service and sacrifice helped America prevail until victory was secured in World War II, our nation owes them, they owe you, a debt of gratitude. I'm honored to be here today as we present to them collectively the Congressional Gold Medal. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, the junior United States Senator from the state of California, the Honorable Barbara Boxer.
Thank you. That's great. I can see you all. Good morning, everyone. It was such a great privilege for me to carry the Senate legislation that awards the Go for Broke heroes a Congressional Gold Medal. I want to thank Congressman Schiff for putting that confidence in me to get it through the Senate. Thank you, Adam. Granting this medal is a long overdue honor which recognizes and expresses our utmost appreciation for your dedicated service during World War II. You fought World War II on two fronts. As President Harry Truman said, and I quote, "You fought not only the enemy, you fought prejudice, and you won." You enlisted. You enlisted even as many of your family members and friends were sent to internment camps. You served your country despite being subjected to hurtful slurs and deep suspicion from many of your fellow citizens. Your bravery led your units to become known as Go for Broke because of your willingness to risk everything for America. You made a decision, as my dear friend Senator Inouye has said, that, quote, America was worth fighting for and worth dying for. While we can never repay the debt that we owe you, we can and we must recognize your valor and your patriotism, and that is what we are doing here today. So thank you. Thank you for everything, and thank you for making sure we preserve the incredible story of the Go for Broke regiments for future generations. We honor your service. May God bless you. May God bless our veterans, our men and women in uniform, and may God bless America.
Ladies and gentlemen, the senior United States Senator from the state of Arizona, the Honorable John McCain.
Let me thank this distinguished audience for joining us today to honor the heroes of the 100th Infantry Battalion, the 442nd Regimental Combat Team, and the Military Intelligence Service who served and sacrificed during World War II. I know that my colleague, Senator Boxer, is as moved as I am today by this ceremony. What began for us as a Senate resolution over 2 years ago has now become a reality, and today, at long last, we award the Congressional Gold Medal to a group of Americans who are as deserving of it as any I have ever known. I will leave it to my friends and colleagues today to recount the many distinctions that have earned these brave Americans the enduring gratitude of our country. Suffice it to say, they did everything that was ever asked of them and more. And what is most remarkable is that they did so despite the fact that our nation at times fell short of its responsibilities to them and Americans like them. All I wish to add is that it's not every day that the leaders and members of Congress have an opportunity to put aside our usual differences over the pending business of the day, to join together with bipartisan unanimity to pay tribute to fellow citizens who have served a just cause greater than their own self-interest. This is, therefore, a special day. The people's representatives in our great democracy will always have plenty about which to disagree, but when it comes to honoring those among us who have given everything to protect our nation, Americans have always and will always stand as one, just as we do today. To the men of the 100th Infantry Battalion, the 442nd Regimental Combat Team, and the Military Intelligence Service, thank you. Thank you for your service. God bless you, and congratulations on an honor that is richly deserved.
Ladies and gentlemen, the United States Army Chorus will now sing the 442nd song. Ladies and gentlemen, the Democratic leader of the United States House of Representatives, the Honorable Nancy Pelosi.
Good morning, and a great morning it is when we gather today on this very special day for America. A day when the Congressional Gold Medal is bestowed on American heroes. Congratulations to each and every one of you and to your families. In accepting this gold medal, you bring luster to this award and you bring honor to this Congress. As a member of Congress, I am honored to join the House and Senate leadership, our distinguished Speaker, Leader Reid, and Leader McCain, and also it's a natural that we would have Californians in the lead on the resolution, Senator Boxer and Congressman Schiff, and totally, wonderfully, proudly appropriate that Senator McCain and our House member, a veteran of World War II, Ralph Hall, are co-sponsors of this legislation. You are bringing us all together. It's an honor to join them to pay tribute to the 100th Infantry Battalion, the 442nd Regimental Combat Team, and the Military Intelligence Service. As a representative of San Francisco, it is a point of pride to me that so many of today's awardees have San Francisco ties. The Japanese-American community enriches our city and is a source of strength to us. As others have said, the motto of the 4042nd was, "Go for broke." Today's awardees were willing to go for broke in the fight against tyranny abroad, and in doing so, fight discrimination here at home. Again, as others have mentioned, despite the injustices of the internment of Japanese Americans, today's awardees rose above being embittered. Indeed, many felt empowered to prove their loyalty and love of our country. I want to consider some stories of heroism from my own district, but before I do, I want to acknowledge that General Shinseki, now Secretary Shinseki, is with us. We're honored by your presence and your patriotism to our country. And our former colleague, we called him chairman when he was here, and now secretary on more than one occasion, Secretary Norman Netta, who led us in the repatriation fight in the Congress when he was here. Now for my own district, Yoshio Wada helped liberate Dachau death camps. When we have the great ceremony in the rotunda of the Capitol celebrating the liberation of the camps after World War II, at the end of World War II, and our Japanese-American patriots are in that march. Imagine all of that coming together. Imagine Frank Masuoka helped to negotiate the peaceful surrender of 600 Japanese soldiers to American troops. Imagine that. And several in my district were part of the effort that rescued the Lost Battalion, an effort which has been tried and failed twice, twice before. In that single campaign, the 442nd suffered over 800 casualties. The I Company, which broke through the last German roadblock, went in with 185 men, and only 8 walked out uninjured. Simply put, the 100th Infantry Battalion, the 442nd Regimental Combat Team, and the Military Intelligence Service saved American lives. They faced deadly combat in Italy, France, and Germany. They intercepted radio transmissions, translated enemy documents, and interrogated prisoners of war. Again, it's another source of pride to me that many of these accomplishments are being memorialized in the Presidio of San Francisco. Thank you, Senator Boxer, for your involvement in that. Building 640, as is known, is right across from Crissy Field. It was the first headquarters of the MIS. Senator Inouye was there the day we groundbroke for it. We're grateful to the National Japanese American Historical Society for their efforts to create a museum in San Francisco to honor those who served in the MIS. Consider that an invitation to visit us. Every member of Congress could tell stories of heroism from their own districts. Indeed, we have stories of heroism within the Congress itself. Senator Daniel Inouye's valor and service in the 442nd earned him the Medal of Honor and today the Congressional Gold Medal. Our colleague in the House, Congressman Mike Hondo, will accept the gold medal today on behalf of his father, Byron. Byron volunteered to serve in the Military Intelligence Service even though his wife and children were behind barbed wire fences of the internment camp. We gather today knowing that this group is not complete, that many Congressional Gold Medals today will be awarded posthumously. We remember those for whom today came too late, and we particularly honor those who never came home. In battle, today's awardees proved that they were great fighters. In their service, they proved they were great patriots. Your cause was not just the end of fascism, but promoted the end of discrimination, the American ideal of equality, which is our heritage and our hope. Today, as I say, you bring luster to this gold medal. You bring honor to this Congress. You have always brought honor to our country. Thank you and congratulations. God bless you and God bless America.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Republican leader of the United States Senate, the Honorable Mitch McConnell.
Of all the stories of valor that have come down to us from the Second World War, the story of the 100th Battalion and the 442nd Regimental Combat Team is among the most powerful and hardest to explain. How did these men, who had at first been excluded from service by their own country, take up arms so valiantly in her defense? How did men whose families had been rounded up and confined by their own government go on to become the most decorated military unit in U.S. history? President Clinton put it well, I think, when he said of these men that rarely has a nation been more well served by a people it had so ill-treated. Among them was our friend and colleague, Senator Inouye, whose battlefield heroics earned him not only America's highest military honor, but also its eternal gratitude. And then there is the Military Intelligence Service. Drawn heavily from the 442nd Regimental Combat Team, the members of MIS were in many ways America's secret weapon in the war with Japan. Because of them, General MacArthur could later say that never in military history did any army know so much about the enemy prior to an actual engagement. Through their tireless efforts during the war, they hastened its end and therefore ensured that countless more lives were not lost. and through their tireless efforts after the war, they laid the groundwork for the close relationship that the U.S. and Japan has enjoyed against all odds ever since. If you ask those who remain, they'll tell you, like any good soldier, they were not looking for glory. Yet, taken together, the men of the 442nd and the MIS, through their matchless record of bravery and service, have secured a permanent place of the highest distinction in our history and in our hearts as Americans. They volunteered to win a war, and they defeated prejudice while they were at it. What a story. Men of the MIS and the 442nd, thank you. Congress honors you today with this medal, but believe me, the honor is all ours.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Majority Leader of the United States Senate, the Honorable Harry Reid.
In 1945, a few weeks before Germany surrendered to Allied forces, the United States Army's 92nd Infantry Division headquarters wrote a letter to its unit commanders. That letter, from the headquarters of the famous African-American Buffalo Soldiers, was titled, Facts Concerning the 442nd Infantry. This is what the Buffalo Soldiers wrote about Inouye, an all-volunteer unit of Japanese Americans who had already proven their valor in battle in the European theater. Quote, they're as thoroughly loyal as German Americans, Italian Americans, or any other Americans of foreign ancestry, a category, of course, into which all of us fall. End of quote. And of course, that was true. Not only were the men of the 442nd just as loyal as the most distinguished American soldiers of every race or national background, they're also just as sharp of eye, true of aim, and stout of heart. And in the end, the blood they shed defending American freedom on the battlefields of Europe while fighting for the only nation they'd ever called home was just as red. Although they were exempt from the draft, they volunteered to fight for our flag. Many of them joined despite having family living in American internment camps, along with 110,000 other people of Japanese ancestry who were removed from their homes. And 650 of them willingly gave their lives to protect the freedom for which America stands, although they were denied that freedom at home. Nearly 4,000 more of these first-generation Americans were wounded or missing in combat. My dear friend, Medal of Honor awardee, Senator Dan Inouye, one of the finest men I know or have ever known, fought famously with the 442nd and was grievously wounded in that battle. Bravery like Senator Inouye's is the reason the 442nd Regimental Combat Team, including the 100th Infantry Battalion, is likely the most highly decorated unit in United States military history. Its soldiers earned thousands of Purple Hearts, more than 500 Silver Stars, 21 Medals of Honor, and 9 Presidential Unit citations. And alongside the Military Intelligence Service, which was also honored with a Presidential Unit citation for indispensable translation and interrogation services, the 442nd helped win the war. It is for that brave commitment that we award them the Congressional Gold Medal, the highest honor Congress can bestow. Some may say it was a desire to prove that their loyalty and dedication to this country was beyond reproach, that made the men of the 442nd such formidable fighters against fascism. But really, they just shared the same patriotism that blazed in the hearts of other young American soldiers. We owe them much gratitude for their service and pay today great tribute to their sacrifice.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Speaker of the United States House of Representatives, the Honorable John Boehner.
Since our founding, Americans have believed that our liberties, our Constitution, and our way of life, even our flag, were things worth fighting for and dying for. We also believe that these ideas are not limited to one race of people, that the struggle for these ideas can unite all people around the world. But for Japanese Americans, the days and months after Pearl Harbor must have seemed like a giant and painful step backward. Removed from their homes and placed in camps, these loyal Americans endured years of discomfort and disgrace. But out of this story of prejudice comes another story that reaffirms America's worth and America's exceptionalism. Today we honor the thousands of Japanese Americans who served in the United States Army's 3 units that we honor today, most of whom were recruited during their internment. Their baptism of fire began in the mountains of Italy when the 100th Battalion was attached to the 5th Army. They overlooked the Italian campaign that was brutal. It cost the Allies 320,000 casualties between 1943 and 1945. In Italy, the 100th fought the rain and bitter cold. They fought sickness. They fought trench foot, all while fighting the Germans uphill. In November of 1943, the 100th joined the attack on Germans, their winter line. The Nisei soldiers quickly established a reputation as some of the best combat soldiers on the front. And this reputation was sealed early on when 2 of their members were attacked on November 29th, 1943. And they were attacked by some 40 German soldiers. Things turned out pretty badly for those Germans. 38 killed, 1 wounded, 1 captured. Private Hashimoto gave his life later that day, but that 2-man army earned medals of honors for their extraordinary heroism. Their bravery and selfless dedication was reflected by all Nisei fighters wherever they engaged the enemy. They fought hard for this nation, and they held fast to their motto, go for broke. Together, the 100th and the 442nd became the most highly decorated units in World War II and in Army history. They received more than 9,000 Purple Hearts, thousands of Bronze and Silver Stars, and the list goes on. These units, plus the Nisei of the Military Intelligence Service, distinguished themselves in every operation in nearly every theater of World War II. On behalf of my colleagues and the American people, thank you for fighting to make this the greatest nation on earth, and God bless all of you for all of your work.
Ladies and gentlemen, please remain seated for the unveiling of the gold medal by members of the United States Congress and representatives from each unit. Ladies and gentlemen, a proud member of the 2nd Battalion of the 442nd Regimental Combat Team during World War II, the senior senator of the state of Hawaii and the President pro tem of the United States Senate, the Honorable Daniel Inouye.
Mr. Speaker, leaders of the Congress of the United States, ladies and gentlemen, I thank you all for this extraordinary recognition. 70 years ago, Pearl Harbor was bombed by the Japanese. And as a result of the emotional upheaval that followed, Japanese, whether citizens or immigrants, were declared by the government of this country as being enemy aliens, 4C, and as such, unfit to put on the uniform of this land. But we didn't sit by and do nothing about it. We petitioned the government to give us an opportunity to demonstrate our love of country and our patriotism, which was granted to us. At the end of the war, General MacArthur said, as a result of the service of the MIS, the war ended by at least a year sooner. And then the two units, 442 and the 100th, were declared to be the most decorated units in the history of the United States. This has been a long journey, but a glorious one. And we wish to thank all of you, all Americans, for this recognition. It's heartwarming, and I'm certain that I speak for all assembled here. But more importantly, I'm certain those who are resting in cemeteries are pleased with this day. God bless America. God bless you.
Ladies and gentlemen, please remain standing as the chaplain of the United States House of Representatives, the Reverend Patrick Conroy, gives the benediction.
Lord, may the hands and hearts of this nation be raised in prayer and praise for these heroic members of the United States Army who served our nation and the hope of freedom for all the world. Our nation was defending itself from the attack of dangerous foes, yet these veterans chose to serve while they themselves and their families were under domestic attack because of their ancestral roots. Though never able to be remembered without considerable embarrassment, may the people of this nation now rise to celebrate the units we honor this day, who bore no small rejection by their fellow Americans, yet proved to be the most highly decorated unit in the history of the United States Army. May the breath of God uphold their noble and heroic story. May it carry to other generations and even to other nations a message to inspire citizens everywhere to serve the mighty cause of public service while always seeking equal justice. May those who made the ultimate sacrifice, those who etched out heroic victories, those who earned medals of honor, and those who suffered personally the pain of rejection in those dark days of our world and our nation, be rewarded with success and find peace. Bless all women and men in military service, no matter their racial, cultural, or religious heritage, and their families. God bless America and grant us peace, both in the present and with you forever. Amen.